Hey y'all, I just want to say this really quick. Really quick. So, sorry. Me starting this journey of preaching the gospel has definitely taught me a lot, especially in a year's time. And now I'm about to be my second year in December of me answering the call. And I wanted to talk about making or putting so much pressure on leaders and pastors to be something that they just aren't. And so I want to talk about how God uses broken vessels to do his will. And it's funny because, and this is kind of more so for the church, and this can also help not just the church but also the unbeliever too, to kind of understand God and understand why he chooses to use broken people. And I'll just start off with this. We know, or we should know, or I don't know, that God uses broken people or whatever. He uses broken vessels. And the funny thing about it is, as soon as that person shows you their brokenness, our first instinct isn't to empathize with them. Our first instinct is to, is to actually the opposite of empathy. And it's like, well, dang, you know what I'm saying? Like, and especially like to the church, like a lot of times we have these unrealistic expectations towards our leaders. And that's not to, say that you can just act any way you want to act as a leader and there's no consequences. No, but I think that we can grow in grace with one another when we do mess up. You know what I'm saying? So for instance, you have a pastor or whatever, and he messes up horribly, to our standard. You know what I'm saying? He messes up. And got a cold sore, y'all. He messes up. And so the funny thing about it is, the pastor can just preach. God uses broken vessels. And literally, we see the pastor in a broken state. I'm not talking about him losing his wife or something bad happening to him. No, like he is the one that's actually doing something bad. And then we're like, oh my gosh, what is wrong with you? Blah, blah, blah. You should know better. And you're probably right. He probably should know better than to act a certain way or whatever. But he does it. He messes up. He does the, you pastor, or you pope, or you religious leader. And so I learned very quickly after I decided to answer the call that you need to show a little bit more grace to the very people that hurt you, because it's not to excuse their behavior as if, like, once again, it's not to excuse their behavior as if it's okay to do it, but it is to understand that, hey, one of these days, you gonna mess up, and you gonna want somebody that's going to understand and show you grace. And so that happened really quickly, like months into me answering the call, I slip up and end up doing something with a girl or whatever. And I think to myself, like, man, if I would have went through that publicly, that would have been a very hard mess up to kind of go through publicly. And there are so many leaders out here that go through, not even just religious leaders, but just leaders, period. They just go through things publicly.
And we as people, we idolize these leaders, and we forget that they're human too, man. Like, they're not, nobody is above a struggle or above a mess up. You know what I'm saying? And so I just want to really just encourage people to, you know, I'm always trying to push people in the direction of putting all your trust and your hope in Christ, putting all your trust in God. Because the moment that you set your sights or your gaze towards something, or you make something higher in your heart than the Father, that's when you just messed up. You know, that's when you just messed up. And you'll get really, really disappointed really quickly by people and making people an idol. And so many of us don't even realize that we make people idols. And we think that we have to like adore a person in order to make them an idol. No, you don't. You can hate that person, or you cannot, like, for instance, the President of the United States. Some people didn't like Barack Obama. They didn't vote for him. They didn't want him in, they didn't want him in that office. But as soon as he made mistakes, they were like, oh my God, what is wrong with him, blah, blah, blah. Or even Trump. People don't want Trump in the office. And as soon as he makes a mistake, oh my gosh, look at him, blah, blah. And guess what? You just made an idol out of that person because you put your expectations in him to be something that he's just not. He's not God. He's not God. And the best thing you can do is to put your full trust in God, period. Full trust in God. I'm not going to get all political. We're not going to go there because that's not what this video is about. You know, and once again, I'm not saying that leadership should just take their responsibilities as leaders lackadaisical. No, I shouldn't be lackadaisical about it. But we should always have grace towards each other. You know, towards each other, because all of us are going to need it at one point. All of us. So that's pretty much all that I have, you guys. I hope that we can just grow in love, grow in grace, and set your sights on God. Make him, your highest, idol, your highest thing that you, and really your only idol, Make him the highest thing in your life that you look to. Because everything else is fleeting. All right, you guys. Have a good one.